Good morning everyone, I'm Auntie Kara, but this video is not for kids. This is another edition of book reviews for grown-ups who love fairy tales. Today we are going to be talking about The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. And guys, if there was one book that was a fairy tale for grown-ups who love fairy tales, this one is it. This book is so magical and whimsical and beautiful just in every way. I loved this book from beginning to end. I blew through it in like 5 days. It follows the story of a librarian who's a little socially awkward and loves books. I wonder why I can relate. But her library is burned down in the midst of a rebellion, and she gathers books as much as she can, and this is no ordinary library. It is a library of spells. So her and her best friend, who happens to be a sentient spider plant named Kaz, gather as many books as they can, and they flee the city that is just burning to ruins, and they end up going to her hometown, which is this little island in the Outer Islands where she grew up. And this island is so beautiful. There are mermaids and merhorses and centaurs and cats with wings just lounging about the rooftops of the city. And she comes to this island and she decides that she has to, one, hide these books and preserve them for future generations. So she goes up to her parents' old cottage and she basically ends up meeting all the townsfolk and making these beautiful relationships. There's a little bit of romance involved, which all turns out great. And she looks around and figures that there's some berries. So what she does after finding her family's jam recipe is she turns her house into a jam shop. Of course, the property has not been tended for very long, so she needs to use a spell from one of the books to cause rapid berry growth. But she notices that because of all the magic that's been happening in the capital city and the unrest that's been occurring, the sorcerers that normally would get sent out to the city to kind of realign things and set things to right in terms of the magical fallout and the consequences that would kind of trickle their way down, they haven't been coming. So the crops are failing, the mer horses aren't birthing new babies, and everything's just kind of out of whack. They have these crazy wild magic storms that threaten the whole town every time they have one. So she decides that it is going to be her job to put things right on the island. But spell casting and not being a qualified sorcerer is illegal. So she basically sets up this jam shop as a front for her spell shop. And it's such a magical book. It is very cottagecore, very witchy-core, very homesteader-core. And in terms of fairy tale magic, you can't beat it. Like there's whimsy and magic, and just like my mouth was a full smile the whole time I was reading it. It was just marvelous. Yeah, and this is a book where good triumphs over evil, but not only that, but the evil in the book, or the figures that you would think would be the villains, end up being very redeemable and very, like, there's miscommunications that happen and people trying to keep themselves safe by, possibly hurting others. And then when everyone talks and realizes that the town is going to keep everyone safe, they all kind of figure it out, and there's not any like lingering cliffhangers or dangers or anything there. It's a happy ending story, and I feel like it's so rare to have true happy ending stories these days that it just warmed my heart, and I think that it will warm your heart as well. So I'm going to just read you a couple passages. The first one is kind of when they're coming up to the island. Let me just pull it up for a sec. I'm still working with my e-reader and figuring out how to get things going quickly on here. So just bear with me one moment. There we are. All right. Across the water, she saw a herd of mer horses rise and fall with the waves. Her breath caught in her throat. Half horse and half fish, they were a magnificent sight. She watched, mesmerized, as they cantered through the water. Their hoofs crashed through the waves as their powerful fishtails propelled them forward, covered in jewel-like scales and made of solid muscle. They were the living embodiment of both beauty and strength. like the sea itself, Kyla thought. One of them tossed its mane and droplets sprayed up and caught the light, a flash of rainbow. It's just so beautiful. All right, I'm gonna do one more for you guys. This one is a little bit longer and it's about the town itself. Everyone was here, or at least everyone who wasn't working on the sea or on their farm or orchard. It looked to be mostly older islanders deep in their retirement with faces worn from wind, sun, and time. And if she were being honest, it was less than a dozen people, but it felt like everyone. 6 times the number of people she wanted to see. I could come back later. No, you're already here, but buy what you need and then you can leave. Taking a deep breath, she approached the bakery. Outside on the cobblestones, tables with mismatched chairs were clustered in front of an open door and a wide window on the counter. One woman with crevice-deep wrinkles and black and white streaked hair had a lap harp on her knees. Like one of the librarians who worked on the 5th floor, she had 2 sets of arms, very useful for shelving books and apparently just as useful for playing the cross-strung harp. She was plucking at the 2 sets of strings, creating both melody and harmony, an old sailor's song that Kyla vaguely recognized. The falling notes of the harmony were the waves crashing on the sand, while the melody sang of the sailor's love for the sea. An elderly centaur woman was beside her, seated with her horse hindquarters on a broad bench. She wore a wide red dress and a matching red hat with a brim. Visible through the gaps in her dress, her horse body blended seamlessly with her human torso, black horse hair matching equally dark skin. Her woman's head sported black hair that narrowed into a vertical strip running down her spine exactly like a mane on a horse's neck. She was drinking tea from a misshapen mug, blowing on it before she sipped. She lowered her drink when she saw Kyla and stared openly. She nudged her companion, who paused her harp playing to stare too. Kyla stared back. She'd never seen the multi-armed harpist before, but the centaur lady looked familiar. Kyla couldn't say how she knew her. All her memories of culture focused on her parents. I must have known other villagers, though. Maybe her. And that's all I'll leave you with for today. I highly recommend this book. If you need a little pick-me-up, just something to smile about in this wonderful world of ours, it is a great read. I give it 5 out of 5. I will read it again for sure. All right, my dears, so don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to see more. I try to do book reviews once every month or 2, depending when I find a good one to share with you guys. As always, please subscribe to find out more and hit the notification button if you want to keep yourself posted when new things come up. I'm Auntie Cara, and ta-ta for now.